Welcome to the TCC Library's online tutorials. In this tutorial, we will learn how to embed research guides into your Canvas shell. TCC research guides are alphabetically sorted by subject. For this tutorial, we will use the ENC 1101 guide as an example. Before you embed a guide in Canvas, we recommend that you familiarize yourself with the guide's content to see what you would like to embed. You can contact the guide owner, seen here under the navigation tabs, if you would like any content added, removed, or changed. You have several options for embedding research guides in Canvas. First, you can choose to embed a full guide, a single page, a single box, the A to Z databases list, or one of our subject-specific databases lists. In addition, you can add research guide content as an external tool or as part of a page. On to Canvas. On this page, I've created a module called Embedding Research Guides. I'm going to click the plus icon on the right to add something. Then in the pop-up box, I'm going to click the drop-down list and click External Tool. Scroll down until you see LibApps Library Content. Clicking this link brings up another box. Under LibGuide Site, please click Research Guides, the only option. Then under Content Type, click on the one you'd like. I'm going to click Full LibGuide. Then under Guide, I'm going to type in ENC 1101. You then have the option to select a different landing page for your embedded guide. But if you just want to go with the regular landing page, you can go ahead and click Embed Content and then Add Item. Here is how the embedded research guide will look in Canvas. The content and all the links work the same as they do on our research guide site, but students don't have to leave Canvas to get there. That is one option for embedding research guides in Canvas. Another option, which you may find useful if you'd like to add instructions before the embedded content, is to add a research guide content as part of an assignment or page. For our next example, I'm going to embed a content box instead of a full guide. To show this, I'm going to click the plus sign to add something else to our module. Then on the drop-down list, I'm going to click Page and name a new page Research Guide Box. When I edit this page, I can go ahead and add my instructions at the top. I can then click this blue arrow above the text box to access external tools, and on this list, click LibApps Library Content. In the resulting box, I still need to select Research Guides under LibGuide Site, but in Content Type, I'm going to select Content Box. I will again use ENC 1101 as my example guide, but from here I will need to select a guide page, Articles and Databases, and then a box, Recommended Databases. Then I'm going to click Embed Content, and under the text box, I'm going to click Save. I've used a content box for this example, but this option also works with full LibGuides and single pages. Embedding in a Canvas page, as opposed to adding directly to the module using the external tool, also gives you the option to group different research guides content together. So if I go back to Edit, I can add other directions under the content box I embedded for the ENC 1101 guide. Then I can go back to the blue arrow for external tools and select the same option for LibApps Library Content. This time, I'm going to select Databases for a specific subject under Content Type. Under Subject, I'm going to click News and Current Events, and then Embed Content, and then Save. I've used a Canvas page to show this example, but you can do the same thing in the text box in an assignment. Please call the main library reference desk or email your liaison librarian if you have any questions.